Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's Sunday stream of consciousness. I almost forgot where I was. Right here on the McGrath Podcast Network. MPN for you who are not following along as closely. Let me just change this. I had a new logo to put up here. I want to welcome everybody watching this morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you might be. Great to have you with us. We want to thank all the groups that allow us to share, specifically some of our favorites down here at the, there's that little, it's not very, can't read it very well, but we'll leave it there for now anyway. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at Baseball's, America's Pastime, the love for baseball, Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports, the crew over at Let's Talk Sports and DDH, thumbs up to you. Tanner and the gang do a great job over there. Ken Krause, it's Golf Bud Sports of all sorts. And, of course, a quick shout-out to Ralph Williams over at RW Media. He did some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. And specifically the Sports Corner from Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smokin' Jim Frazier. A very lively show this morning on the Big Football Show, if you were watching there earlier. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. AC is here with us as well. Good morning, AC. Paul Spada, how are you? Go Pats today. Michael Abrams, good morning. And good morning to all you others who have not said hello yet and probably will during this next hour and 45 minutes or so, hour and 40 minutes. We'll be going back to a full 2 hours in a few weeks as soon as my football Sundays end. It could be as soon as 2 weeks. I don't know yet. With the playoff schedule, we don't go out and necessarily watch the games the way we do during the regular season. So good morning, Danny. Good to have you with us. Danny Fuller out in California early on. Oh, Jesus. Early in the morning out there in Southern California. Great to have you with us. Lots to talk about this morning, guys. It's your show, though. Bring your topics, and we'll certainly debate them as much as you want. We got football from yesterday. Obviously, the Seahawks manhandled the 49ers last night. Great defense. They wrap up the number one seed in the NFC. The Patriots will try to do that today, but they've got a tall task with the Broncos needing to lose to the Chargers. And the Panthers lose an important game. They could have wrapped up the South yesterday and finished over 500. They lose and don't play well against the Bucs in the rain. And now it's up to the game that doesn't have any playoff implications for themselves, the Saints and the Falcons, to decide who wins the South. And, of course, the Ravens and Steelers will play tonight. We'll talk more NFL than that as well. We've got the NCAA. We'll revisit the quarterfinals. Great win for Miami. Great win for Ole Miss. Ole Miss now has more challenges ahead of it this week. As it sounds like only Charlie Weiss Jr. will stay from those assistant coaches that were leaving with Lane Kiffin. Oregon gets a win. Paul Spada, congratulations. Played well. Defense was awesome. Dan Lanning, who I love, some interesting decisions on kicking field goals and going for first downs. Kept Texas Tech in this game longer than he should have. Indiana just steamrolls Alabama and is probably the best team, not probably, is the best team left in this tournament. As much as I like Miami, and we'll talk about those semifinal games that are coming up Thursday and Friday before we talk again. But we do have a college football huddle on Wednesday night to discuss all of that as well. Who else has joined us? Rick has jumped in. Good morning, Rick. Good to have you with us up there in Amsterdam, New York. Bill Pulver. Nice Miami win for sure. I got to tell you, this team is playing so well. This is the team that should have showed up all year. I've argued with people. I've discussed with people. This team is as talented as any team in the country, but they don't show up to play every Saturday or whatever day they're playing, which is on the coaching staff and on the players and on everybody. They've showed up against Texas A&M, and they've shown up against Ohio State, particularly this week. And I gave you the game plan, and it wasn't rocket science, man. I'm not a brilliant football mind here, gentlemen and ladies. Run the football, pressure the quarterback. Pretty simple formula. Work to a T. And some great blocking. Malachi Toney, one of the most talented players, definitely the most talented freshman in the country, I can tell you right now. Didn't have a great game. None of the wide receivers had a great game. Carson Beck only threw for 130-some yards. Blocking. I have not seen a group of wide receivers block, and Malachi Toney had 2 huge blocks on the last Miami drive. I haven't seen a group of wide receivers block like that in a long, long time for sure. Ken, good morning. There's Ken from Bottom Line Sports. Great to have Ken with us this morning. Falcons cook the Saints, which will let the Panthers back into the playoffs. I like the Saints today, actually. Shuck's playing well. They've won 4 games in a row. Both these teams are probably playing better. We talked about it a little this morning. Both of these teams are likely playing better than the 2 teams that are vying to get in the playoffs. I think the Saints and Falcons might have a better chance to win a playoff game right now than the Bucs or the Panthers. It's a battle of attrition over there. And you know what? We're going to hear, and I hate this, we're going to hear a renewed screaming of that we need to do away with divisions and the best records should take precedent over division winners. I don't want to see that. Do you want to see 2 conferences with, 16 teams or however many teams we have now? 16 teams each and just the top 6 teams go. That's what you want. I still like the integrity of division play. You lose rivalries and stuff when you do things like that. Look at college football. Ken, this is I don't know where I am. I know the game's at Pittsburgh. Watching Aaron Rodgers play last week, I cannot imagine that they can win this game. Lamar Jackson is playing. J.J. Watt. Oh, sorry, not J.J. Watt. His first name's slipping. What's wrong with me? T.J. Watt is playing today. How well they can play, we'll see. I mean, again, this Ravens team is in flux. I mean, there's a lot. You saw the article. We know the article that came out in Baltimore last week talking about all the butting of heads within the organization. It looks like either the quarterback or the coach is going to be gone. And it's much harder to find a quarterback than it is a coach. Cam has really burnt some bridges there, not playing when he's hurt. Remember, there's a difference between injured and hurt. I can't imagine Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or you name the quarterback sitting out with back spasms last week. Now, Huntley played well. I think the Ravens win this game. I think if I don't see how the Steelers are going to stop Henry. The Steelers defense has played better recently. The Ravens defense probably has played better recently. I just like the Ravens. I don't know why. I just like the Ravens. I don't even have a great reason for it. And I think that whoever wins that game gets bounced in the playoffs pretty quickly. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin screwed this team, bro. They screwed each other, by the way. And again, this is not. You can blame Lane Kiffin. Coaches move all the time. I mean, the optics here are really bad because of the way Lane Kiffin left. And the reason we now have a 12-team playoff. We're going to have a 16-team playoff probably next year at a minimum. Dwayne Lane Kiffin left makes it look bad. And now they've got another conundrum this week, because first he said the coaches that were going to come with him had to come now. And I get it. They needed to recruit. When he left, he had to leave when he left. And he wanted to stay, and it's not feasible for Ole Miss to say, okay, you can stay. He's a walking billboard for LSU for a month or 5 or 6 weeks, whatever it ended up being. Then he said the coaches had to come with him. Then he relented, and the assistants who were leaving with him came back. Now, I don't think they ever thought they were going to make it to where the portal opened on Friday, and all of these coaches have responsibilities to LSU to recruit players to that system, to that program, including guys that are playing for Ole Miss. You know, you can blame Lane Kiffin all you want. Look, he doesn't look good in this. Ole Miss doesn't look good in this. But it's the system. The calendar's broken. Oh, I mean, Lane Kiffin never leaves before this is over if we fix the calendar. If we change the early recruiting declaration date from 1st of December, or whatever it is, December 3rd, and the portal from January 2nd. And I understand kids got to get enrolled and we have to do this, but it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, dude. You can figure this out. If you can get some of these kids to stay eligible to play, you can figure out how to get them enrolled later than January 9th in some of these places. But again, to your point, Lane Kiffin doesn't look good. Ole Miss is a great story. The fact that they've gone and won 2 games is remarkable. The fact that they beat Georgia the other night, I think, is remarkable. I don't think anybody ever expected it. Pete Golding keeps saying, your Mississippi coach, that he and Kiffin had come to an agreement before the playoffs started through the entire playoff. But now he's saying he doesn't have any control about who stays or goes. And for what it looks like, James Martin this morning on the Big Football Show is an LSU fan and has his finger on the pulse of things a little better than I might. It looks like all the assistants are going to LSU this week and leaving, the ones that were joining Lane there, except for Charlie Weiss Jr., who is the most important one. I didn't watch the second half, but apparently there were some bad calls. But again, yes, they played horribly, and you can't put yourself in a position to lose. Lose by referees' calls. I've said this forever. And anybody who's watched me or listened to me blather on endlessly about everything with my know-it-all attitude, I've never once blamed referees for losing a game, ever. I've never blamed injuries. Those things happen to every team. Listen, the refereeing's bad. The refereeing's horrible. There was a couple of bad calls in that Panther game, without a doubt. The offensive pass interference on McMillan, questionable. But we see pass interference calls. Nobody knows what the rule is. They all call it subjective. Everybody seems to have their own. It's like umpires having their own strike zone almost. And there was a bad call on a backwards lateral. It was a pass that went backwards. It ended up being lateral, and the play was blown dead and should have been left alive. And look, don't put yourself in a position to get beat by referees. I'm never going to stop saying that. You can't run for 17 or 19 yards. You can't make bad decisions. You can't not kick field goals and run flea flickers at the 24-yard line when all you need to do is run your offense. You can't miss field goals, crucial field goals in the second half, in the fourth quarter. They shot themselves in the foot. You say it. I wouldn't root for your team to be out. And I really hope we don't get this outcry to do away with divisions, because we're going to have an 8-9 team in the playoffs. So if the Falcons win, Carolina backs in. They'll play a home game next week against, I don't know. I mean, the seedings are all up in the air today, and some teams are playing all their players. I don't know what the Bears are doing. The Rams are playing everybody. The Eagles are sitting their players. The Chargers are sitting their players. And by the way, I'm not getting worked up. Remember, I don't know if it was last year. I think it was last year. I don't remember the exact scenario, but Kansas City sat everybody. The Broncos, and it might have been for the one. It might have been for the one seed. Now that I think about it, I don't remember. No, it couldn't be. It had to be something else because Kansas City got their asses kicked, and but there was all this outcry, excuse me, about Kansas City not playing their starters, and the Broncos just rolled over them. I think that was what it was, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe Kansas City had their starters play. You guys can help me out. My memory is not that good. Maybe Buffalo lost the number one seed. Maybe it's the exact same scenario the Patriots and Broncos have today. I don't care. The point is, I don't care that Trey Lance is playing quarterback for the Broncos or the Chargers today. Actually, I wish he was playing for the Broncos. It's their job to take care of their team, not my team. Not their job to go out and play their best players and do their best to win today when it matters. Maybe I think they can either finish 6th or 7th. If they don't care, then that's up to them. They want to keep their players healthy. They want their quarterback healthy and their key players healthy for the playoffs next week. God bless them. That's what they should do. If they feel winning today is important and that's what they decided to do, well, God bless them. That's what they should do. Every team is responsible only for themselves, not for anybody else. Chargers don't have to go out and play for my team this week. I'll make that clear. I made that statement last year and was belittled for it. I wish I could remember the exact situation, but I feel like I've got it twisted, which is not unusual, by the way. So anyway, they played bad. Indiana's the best team. They are. Any loss to them is not a bad mark on a team that loses to them. That sounds like a guy who lost to them this year, by the way. And just getting ready to lose again. Paul, that sounds like you're getting ready to lose. Indiana is the best team. Your team's played well. Your team's in the Final Four, Paul. I didn't think they were good enough to get there. I told you I would tell you. I thought they'd get beat by Texas Tech. I mean, again, if we were doing blind, if you're taking the names off all the teams and doing blind selections, right? We didn't know who the teams were. We just put their records and their schedules up. I'm not sure Oregon would have made the 12-team playoff, quite frankly. I'm not sure that Miami would, to be fair. But your team has shut me up. They're playing well. I don't think they beat Indiana come Friday night in the Fiesta. What is that, the Fiesta Bowl? No, that's the Peach Bowl, right? They're playing in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. But you lost at home to this team already. It's not a home game for Indiana. It came up this morning, and I didn't get a chance to correct it. It's a neutral site. I've got no reason to think Indiana is going to beat them. They're better. They are the best team in all phases of the game, the most complete team in all phases of the game. I do think Miami's got a better defense, but when you put all three phases of the game together, I think Indiana's without a doubt the best team. Oregon will have a chance. That defense plays like they did last week. They'll have a chance. Don't set yourself up. Tom Brady is never going to stop making page 6, by the way, the Post. Tom Brady now dating a 25-year-old. One day I'd like to see one of these guys, like a Brady or whoever, go date somebody who works the register at Stewart's or Tim Hortons that we were talking about last week. Keith and the TGI side, it's still playing a rerun of this morning's podcast, not this podcast. Are you sure? I just looked to see if I was live. I've got them live now, Paul. Maybe you need to refresh because I had to restart it, Paul. Just so you're probably right. I don't know what time this was up, but it didn't start live, and I had to stop the Facebook. This is Facebook. Maybe I got to blame StreamYard a little bit too, my streaming platform. This is every show I've got to play these little games trying to make sure I go live. But we are live now there. And if you don't see it live, go to the profile picture and click on that and you'll go to it. You see where it's got a red circle around it. Anytime you don't see it live in the timeline, go up to the profile. As long as it's red and says live, you can click on that and you'll get whatever I'm doing live at the time. But thank you, Paul. Happy New Year to everybody. That's a good point. It's our first show of the new year. And again, I hope everybody had a safe and happy holiday season. The Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and whatever you do celebrate it at that time. If you don't celebrate anything, Festivus. I hope it was a good one and you made memories, and I hope you had a safe and happy New Year. And listen, I had a great 25, and I hope 26 is even better. When Peter Incaviglia, who, by the way, coached up here or managed the Tri-City Valley Cats for the last 3 years before this past season, did a very good job too, by the way. He was a standout at Oklahoma. He once quoted, "I just love hitting home runs." He did that well. He didn't do much else well, but he did that well. Hello, Spa. Yeah, thank you. But he got me to go look. That's fine. And just so you guys know, sometimes when we're going long with the music and the screenshot of TGI Sports Talk, whatever show we're talking about, goes a little long playing the music, it's because I'm waiting for it to go live. And sometimes I've got to remove the stream and restart it. That's why you see it start. It's funny. Once I did it, I think it showed I ended the show, but it wasn't showing it live. Facebook. AC wants to give a shout out to our president and the members of the military and law enforcement liberated Venezuela yesterday. I'm proud to be an American. I am too. So we won't dive too much into that. But I too am proud to be an American today. And our military, you can say what you want about, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't really care. I'm not a Trumpster. I'm a proud Republican. I am not a Trumpster, but this is the action that is certainly appropriate. And also these was started by the Biden administration with a $25 million bounty on this guy's head. So anyway, Austin Matthews, now the leading all-time scorer of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He surpasses some big names: Matt Sudon, Gary Leeman, Doug Gilmour, all great players. Time for Austin Matthews to lead the Maple Leafs to a Stanley Cup, maybe, though, right? Isn't it time? Toronto, it's been decades since they've been in a Stanley Cup, much less won one, with some very talented teams. Paul spent a lot of time saying good morning this morning. Michael Abrams, it's the same thing with us. When we absolutely have to step up, we never do. Why we never had back-to-back winning seasons. Still talk about the Panthers, I believe, right? This is a strange season. I mean, the last 10 games or 12 games, you hadn't won 2 in a row or lost 2 in a row. Team doesn't travel well. They play pretty well at home, and if they play next week, they might have a chance. Personally, I think the Panthers would have a better chance of winning a playoff game than Tampa Bay. They'll get a game at home. They played well at home. But you're going to get if the Rams come in there, are they going to beat them? I think the 49ers still have a shot of going there too. The president started in the movie Home Alone. Speaking of Home Alone. How's Rowdy Tellez still a free agent? How is he? Check the baseball reference, Chris. I'm not sure about the first comment. I don't know where the president started Oh my God, no. I knew that was going to happen, and I apologize for my outburst this morning. I knew it was going to happen. I have no tolerance for that. There's bad officiating. Nobody will ever say that, but the NFL having a bias against anybody, it's nonsense. They didn't care. The games weren't. There was no bias in favor of the Patriots for 20 years. There was no bias in favor of the Chiefs for the last 6 or 7. And there's no bias against any teams to keep them out. It's just nonsense. It's social media, tinfoil hat nonsense. I think Jack got mad at me for saying bullshit. Good morning, Donna. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everybody, as I said. In case New Year's ran. Good to have you with us, CA, as always. Your Indiana comment. Don't be qualifying you want your team to win. You tell me how your team's going to win. Don't say no team. And again, you're not wrong, by the way. Oregon has nothing to be embarrassed about when they lose to Indiana on Friday night. They played well. Again, Paul, I told you I'd tell you I was wrong. And I was wrong. They're in the Final Four. They're one of the top 4 teams in the country. The bracket tells me that. I doubted them beforehand. I knew they'd beat James Madison. But I thought Texas Tech would put up a better fight. And again, I think there's something to the layoff. We talked about this, right? And there's feelings both ways. I read an article yesterday that was saying that and 7 out of 8 teams have lost. We're starting to get a bigger sample size now. Last year, all 4 teams that had a bye lost. We're getting a better sample size now. Only one team has won, and that's Indiana, who played probably the worst team in this field. Well, sorry, outside of Tulane. I'm not sure Alabama would have beat Tulane yet last week. But there's something to the bye. I mean, again, this article said, well, it's been in the NFL for years. Teams have had byes during the season. They've had one, and so do NFL teams, or so do college teams have byes during the season. Teams have byes through the play or at the beginning of the playoffs. One team in each league. Used to be 2. That's 1 week. Even a Super Bowl is 2 weeks, and you've seen times where the 2 weeks hurts teams or hurts the game itself. You can't compare a 7-day or even a 14-day layoff to a 28-day layoff. There's absolutely something to that effect. And by the way, talking about the layoff and coaches and assistant coaches, the Miami Ohio State game, something nobody's taking into account. I haven't heard it brought up once. There was certainly an effect. Brian Hartline is leaving. He's the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, is leaving to go to South Florida and be the head coach. He's still on the staff, but Ryan Day didn't let him call plays. That was a huge tactical error. Brian Day's called plays for years. I get it. But Brian Hartline called plays for this group of players for 13 games. Now you say no? Why? Why did you keep him around? Why didn't you just tell him to leave if you were going to do this? I think that was a huge tactical error by Ryan Day. Chris is on fire today. 1991 Chipper Jones rookie card only appeared in Tops and Score. Nothing from, I didn't even know what Don Rose is, quite frankly. I'm 65 years old. Tops is the only card I know. I should look at these ones that Matt Lidioff has sent me. This is team. Let me just grab one quickly off the tree. Dave Winfield, American League, DH, tops. You can see it right down there, tops. So I don't know. That's an interesting fact, though. Hey, Danny, watching. Oh, this is a good one. Watching a Notre Dame basketball game, unfortunately, allowed the piss poor officiating to blatantly make a call that was reversed. So, yes, I do feel more officials have someone betting. I interpreters for them. I don't. Listen, are there isolated cases? Yes. And again, now we're talking about individuals, okay? We're not talking about an overall bias or, no, what you said, were to keep certain teams from winning any given game or getting into the playoffs or winning NCAA championships. Are there going to be individual officials? That was a horribly officiated game. See, here's the thing. They don't have to be one and the same. Just because officials are horrendous doesn't necessarily mean they have a bet on the game. I refuse to believe that it's blatantly out of control. Do I think it happens? Yeah, I've talked about it here. You have the sports books. It's easy to fix. It's easier to fix games than ever. Not so much games. The prop bets are very easy to do. And by the way, the Notre Dame coach also has to keep himself a little bit more in restraint. Can't be charging officials the way that he did there. And I'm sure that the ACC is probably going to suspend him. But he was angry with Warrant. But again, I get it. You know, I haven't seen all the plays, and it really doesn't matter to me whether I saw the play or not. Overall, can games be fixed or attempted to be fixed by individuals? Sure, they can. But to say there's some mass conspiracy, mass bias by the NFL, by MLB, by the NBA, by the NCAA against or for any one team is nonsensical. Makes no sense. And because it's posted all over social media that people believe this is not evidence of that to me. Yeah, it's a little bit more definitive, Paul, than you said a second ago, by the way. Because, you know, I could read between the lines of what you were saying before. They will beat Oregon again. Where's the evidence other than, you know, it's difficult to beat somebody twice. They went to your home and beat you up pretty good, by the way. Score was, I don't think, as close to what the scoreboard showed. The game. The score obviously was as close to what the scoreboard shows. So that's stupid to say. But I don't have, there's no evidence I've seen. Indiana's played better teams and won because they played Ohio State, remember, in the Big Ten championship game since that meeting. What evidence is there for me to say Oregon would beat Indiana when they lost to them on their home field already? And again, I will come here and say, oh, man, Paul, great call. And you should be rooting for your team. Just please don't come in here on, you know, next Sunday with a bunch of excuses when they lose. And you don't, quite frankly. Not that they've lost a lot. They've lost one game. I just can't deal with that. I'm not an excuse maker. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong and the whole rest of the world is right. I don't know. My team loses, they lost. The scoreboard says they got 1 point more and I lost. It doesn't matter why. I more often blame my teams for losing. But I don't see any evidence that Oregon's gotten better than Indiana has since they played last. If anything, Indiana's gotten much better. And the only place I see the defense is really good, but so's Indiana's. The quarterbacks are a toss-up. I like Dante Moore a lot, Paul. You've heard me say this. I think he's a better pro prospect in the long run. I don't think either him or Mendoza is ready to play on the next level. I think there's a better chance that Moore becomes a valuable NFL quarterback than Mendoza. Sports year in review. Should we do one? We should actually do that before the new year. Somebody wanted to see the best of me, and I said, they want to see the best of Keith Engle. And I said, go watch the first show of the year because it didn't get any better from there. The Quakes got a signature win. Oh, the Quacks. Danny's talking to his phone there. It looks like the Earthquakes or the Quakers. Are there any Quakers out there in California or Oregon? Got a signature win, but will remain bannerless. I agree. Danny and I are on the same page here. Thank you, Paul. Oh, I need more coffee. Are the Jacksonville Jaguar fans getting fed up asking, hey, Goober, where's the beef singing for lifetime? You know, they should be getting fed up because I and a lot of other people have not given Jacksonville a lot of respect this year. And Jacksonville still has an outside chance at the number one seed. If the Broncos and Patriots both lost today, which won't happen, they've got a chance to win, to get the overall number one seed and get a bye. Jags are playing really, really good football. Trevor Lawrence is playing good football. Hold on one second. Let me, where are they? And with that said, the Texans still have a chance to win the division today. Jacksonville's won 7 in a row. Texans have won 8 in a row. There's some momentum there, no, Danny? Make sure we mention this, whoever's still standing. I mean, those games have some meaning. Do these teams really care about whether they're the 5th seed or the 6th seed? I'm not sure. Again, we got different approaches from different teams. The Bills are playing. They've got a chance to move up to 5 from 7. It might make the difference in a home game somewhere. I guess the higher seed you can get, the better. And maybe I'd be playing for the higher seed all the time because you don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. And you could end up with a home game later on. If there's 2 wild card teams left at the end and 5 and 7, and again, I'll throw 2 numbers out there. I don't know if they end up on the opposite sides of the bracket or not. If 5 and 7 remain, well, 5's getting the home game for all the marbles. So listen, Jacksonville's played pretty well. And the Patriots, I'm not going to avoid this topic. There's going to be some distraction there. I think the team, I think the coach, I think the players are mature enough to put this behind them for now. And we'll let this play out. The situations with Diggs and Barmore, none of them look good. And I want to be clear. I don't know if I said this clear enough on Friday on Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. If these guys have put their hands on women and it's found to be true, then I cut them. They don't stay on my team. There are no second chances for men who put their hands on women. Never. I'll give drug users a second chance. I'll give gamblers a second chance. I'll give almost anybody a second chance. Not doing it. And I hope this doesn't become a distraction in the building. Hey, Keith, how about an in-depth football spotlight show on the Ohio State-Michigan holiday football season? It'll be a short show. Michigan didn't play well. But, one of the few games that I don't think I bet a single game outside of the playoff games. Because I didn't like the matchups. I didn't like who might have opted out. But Michigan, Texas had some interest for me, and Arch Manning played great. Arch Manning played his best game. He's getting better. Go look at, numbers don't say everything, but if you go look at his overall numbers, they're really, really good. They're better than a lot of guys who you would thought were having a much better season than Arch Manning. He played really well against Michigan the other day. And Texas beat him handily. But Michigan is headed in the right direction. I've said before, I think they made a great hire in Kyle Whittingham, clean as a whistle. He'll get that program cleaned up. Whether he's going to win Big Ten championships, whether he's going to contend for championships, national championships, whether he's going to beat Ohio State is going to be the ultimate decider whether this is a good hire. But I think this is the best hire of the coaching cycle, quite frankly. And they kind of lucked into it. I don't disagree, again, on an individual basis. And the only thing you can do there is pay guys more, and that doesn't always work. We see NBA players gambling when they're making, tens of millions of dollars. All of these leagues have to clean up, the NFL specifically, clean up the officiating. You need full-time officials. You need to pay them a wage where they don't want another job. And all they're doing is training, learning their craft 12 months a year. There's no reason with all the money involved in the NFL that we can't have full-time officials and pay them so they don't need to go get another job. The more you do that, the less you put into play the fact that some referees will go gamble. And again, I'll tell you again, if you're worried about that stuff, first of all, again, AC does point out that he doesn't think the NFL has a bias, which is most important question here. But the NFL needs to do this for the integrity of the game. They need to make sure that we don't have doubts about officials. But how do you do that when you go into bed with gambling sites? You don't have full-time officials. They make more money somewhere else. They could profit from, by the way, there are prop bets on interceptions. There's prop bets on interference calls in the course of the game. You can make prop bets on what will happen if there'll be a pass interference or a holding call on the next series. When you have those types of, and if the NFL wants to stay in bed with the, and they don't all do it. So I'll just say DraftKings, and I don't know if they allow that type of prop bet or not. But I'll use them because I use them. The NFL's got to say, if you want our money, if you want us to support you, not our money, if you want us to promote you, you're not going to have these types of wagers. Those things are the easiest things to put risk your credibility on. Oops, what happened here? Paul says, why don't, all right, I don't even know if it happened, but what about older officiating that have moved on or retired, who had a stellar record in the NFL, teaching classes while I'm mentoring? Well, there you go. The Jim Tunney's of the world. Jim's 95 years old now, so it's probably irrelevant, but he did some of that. Jim Tunney, I had interviewed on the show, a great official for a long time. And he was kind of like an ombudsman for the NFL and would help with and these guys do get graded. Maybe they make that stuff should all be probably, we see all the players' stats, good and bad. Why don't we see officiating grades? But what you're talking about, Paul, goes into what I said. Why don't we have full-time officials that we pay? Listen, I'll pay them a bundle of money. I can afford to do that. I'm the NFL. Multi-billion-dollar program. I can take all the questions out. But we don't do that. We should. We had talked about it. We had talked about it before the show that he was not going to. He beat me to it. He had told Brian and James and myself that he was not going to tolerate anybody going in that direction. And I seconded his comment. I had to bite my lip last night. as it was, and I knew that it was going to be a potential problem again. You should be rabid. You should be upset when your team loses. And to be fair, you know, it was pointed out that Carolina cost themselves the game. But then there was what? A bias against, you know, little old Carolina being able to play with the big boys, apparently. They don't care about that stuff. Cinderella stories are good. I don't think the NFL is going to care that if Carolina or Tampa Bay wins a playoff game. Why would they care? And so he did jump on it faster, but he made it clear beforehand that he wasn't going to tolerate it, and I agree with him. I mean, you guys have seen it come up here, and I'm not going to continue to go on and on about it. I make a comment and I usually move on. I think, you know, people with tinfoil hats believe that stuff. People who believe we never went to the moon believe that NFL games is biased against certain teams to allow them to win, which, by the way, would be scripting and fixing games. I just shut up, though, after a while because it wasn't going to be worth it. I wasn't going to get into a big screaming match and debating the whole topic. It just wasn't. Some former. Are you just thumbing through the sports reference this morning? Sandy Alomar, Ken Griffey Jr., White Sox. Did Ken Griffey Jr. play with the White Sox? Manny Ramirez didn't play with the White Sox. Bo Jackson did. I don't think Roberto Alomar. Well, Roberto Alomar Jr. did, I think. 49ers lost an opportunity to stay home all the way through the Super Bowl. They were horrible last night, by the way, and I don't want to hear about injuries either. Now they'll be on the road and planes. Seahawks are not player for player better than the Rams, but they play team ball and D like no one else. I agree 100%. And I said on the show this morning, Danny, that there's a lot of little cliches, and some of them are true in football. One thing is defense travels. The Seahawks are going to be home, but the Seahawks could go on the road and win, and they did last night because defense does travel. Seahawks have been one of the better road teams in football this year. I think the 49ers could be one and done. I think the Rams could be one and done. But that was a huge game last night. Their defense just beat up the 49ers. And again, I don't really care to hear about injuries. Everybody's got injuries this time of year. You know, the Patriots are playing with a lot of injuries. You don't hear me sitting here talking about, oh, my God, you know, 3/4 of our offensive line banged up. Will Campbell's been out. Oh, my God. The defense is banged up. It doesn't matter. It's the next man up. Go play and go win. And you coach around those. You scheme around those injuries. And if you can't, you can't. Injuries and referees, I've never once blamed for a loss, ever. Chris Efgrave's got to erase his phone, turn Roberto into Robert. Nice. I thought there was no racism in Canada. I thought all the racists were here. You know, with 12 teams, it's hard to say I should put a 3-loss team in there, but I think Texas was better than Oklahoma by the end of the year. They lost head-to-head. No, they beat them, right? No, they beat Texas. They beat Oklahoma. Again, if I take all the names away and show you the schedules and the records, I think it's possible Texas gets in over Alabama and Oklahoma. But again, once we start arguing about the 12th team, gets to play better, right? If Texas doesn't lose any one of those 3 losses, and they could have won all those games, if you just don't lose one of them, you're in. They would have been in over Oklahoma. They would have been in over Alabama. Alabama beat Oklahoma, who was the 3rd worst team in the playoffs. Agreed. I agree 100%. And I am sorry for Allen. Hey, look at Allen. Allen's a good fan, stands by his team. But that Oklahoma team, very, very, a lot of these teams they're all flawed in some ways, except Indiana in my mind. I haven't seen a flaw in Indiana. If somebody can tell me where the flaw is, when I say coaching, offense, defense, special teams, who's got more there? Who's got more of that all around going for them than Indiana? I'm starting to fall 20 minutes behind here. This is what the Angels do. Angels in the outfield, a great reference, Chris. And the Angels, yes, they're Angels off season, which we'll get into more as we get through the playoffs here. This is a typical Angels off season. AC says most profitable betting trends is following the refs. If you pay extra attention, it's then show me again. Then the league needs to be transparent and show these things. Never bet sports anymore because almost every game someone is doing something because of gambling. Just pay attention to the refs. Again, I refuse to believe the narrative that it's the majority, and that's what you're saying here, AC. I'm not gonna buy into that. You're entitled to that opinion, of course. Again, I can take numbers and make them say whatever I want them to say. But show me the numbers. Again, that's pretty easy to say. Show me some numbers. I don't know where these numbers are tracked. I'd like to see them. Certain officiating crews obviously work bigger games and closer games. And, if you're talking about individual calls, again, it's all circumstance driven. I mean, you can make it say whatever you want. And if the league really cared about this, and they should, because their credibility is at stake. I'm not, regardless of what I say and feel, because again, I will tell you, when you come to me with some credible proof, AC, we'll be doing a baking show here. We won't be doing a sports show. Because if there's credible proof ever that the league, no, because the league, if this went on, what you're saying goes on, and it was really prevalent, and the league just let it go, their credibility would be shot. And this show will become a baking show. So get those recipes ready. Isolated. Yeah. But I don't think AC, in fairness to AC, and I don't want to speak for AC, and I respect his opinion. I really do, especially when it comes to gambling. I don't think he's saying there's a conspiracy. He's saying there are certain refs and you follow their trends. So if you're saying to me it's one officiating crew, that could mean there's one guy in that officiating crew that's a problem. So we're probably still saying the same thing, AC. Two days in a row. We're on, let's say. Scott, Scott? Chris, what you have been up doing some research this morning, man. Scott Radinsky's straight-laced punk band once appeared on I don't know what the Warped Tour concert lineup is. Do I look like I follow punk? I probably do. Michael Dighton Edwards is with us. Check out his latest writings. Good morning, Michael. You can catch him on TGI Sports Talk, my personal page, his page, some of the groups that I share too. Happy Sunday from glorious frigid Dollywood. Not supposed to be cold there in the winter, is it? Freezing here. Luke Littler, back-to-back. Excuse me, back-to-back at the hiccups again. Oh. Try it again. Luke Littler, back-to-back PDC World Championships. Congratulations to him at 18 years old. Is there money? I think I might have asked you this, CA. Is there real money in these? Are they winning? What are they winning? 20 grand, 200 grand, 5 million? What are they winning? Who's a player you wanted to appreciate, but were just a kid when their career was wrapping up? Willie Mays. Fred Lynn, I saw his whole career. He started when I was 15, so Fred Lynn, great player. Injuries really wrecked what could have been, I think, a Hall of Fame career for him. Great player, smooth, defensively, great swing. But for me, I would say Willie Mays and Henry Aaron come to mind very easily. The Mick, as a Yankee fan, I didn't get to see him, but, you know, the 8-year-old me, the hobbling Mickey Mantle, barely made it around the bases for his 5th home run. That's a good question. And feel free to weigh in, guys. Indiana, Miami, as I thought Georgia got better the last few games. Ole Miss is playing with a chip on their shoulder. They are. I think it will make for perfect 30 for 30 in the future. You know what? That's a great point, Danny. ESPN would be all over this for sure. If they were to win the national championship, this would be unprecedented. This would be very similar. The only thing similar that I can think of is Michigan basketball back in what was that, 89-ish, when Coach Frieder took the job at Arizona State, planned on coaching out the season, and they said, no, you can go to Arizona State now, and Steve Fisher took over, and that team went on a run to win the national championship against Seton Hall that year. That's the only thing I can think of that's comparable to this. Very similar. And what were you saying there? Hold on, we'll back up here. Indiana, Miami. I do like Indiana, Miami to get to the final. And listen, you know, I've said a lot about Miami, and a lot. I said last week when I was making my picks, I wasn't sure whether it was my heart or my head. But the more my heart said your team can do this, my head started going back and looking at some of the games and some of the places where they failed. They fail against teams that are not better. They are better than. When they play teams that they're either worse than or on a par with, let's say, they play very well. They played 6 ranked teams this year and beat them all. If they win this tournament, they're going to have beat, 4 of the top 6 teams in the country. And congrats to Mario Cristobal. I've been very hard on him. While I gave Dan Lanning props, he was, I think I ranked him 3rd, right, of the 8 coaches that were left last week. I ranked Mario 7th. Much better job out of that coaching staff this last week. Both weeks. Both games in a playoff. They've got to continue that. The problem is they've got all this talent, and there's too many days during the regular season, usually against teams that are worse than them, where they don't show up. And they think they just throw the ball out on the field and win. They're not that good that they can do that. But when they do and they play, listen, the little things, the blocking from the wide receivers, unbelievable the difference that made in that Ohio State game. Go back and watch the last drive. Watch the 2 blocks, Malachi Tony puts on a couple to spring runs for Fletcher. They all block little things. Jacksonville's playing great, no doubt. With that said, I'd rather play Jacksonville than Houston, 100%. The team I don't want to see, and can I see him? Assuming the Patriots finish third, we can get the Cougs in trouble, by the way. Tomorrow's Black Monday, don't forget, in the NFL, and coaches are going to be gone. Hold on, I had a NFL playoff scenarios. So where can the Texans finish? I think they got 2 places they can finish. See, now they can still get in the 7th seed. So Texans can finish anywhere from 3, 5, 6, and 7. Jacksonville can finish 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. So there's a lot at stake in those games. I'd rather play Jacksonville 100%, Danny, than that defensive front, that entire defense of Texas. The offense doesn't scare me at all. But the problem is the defense is so good, the offense has only got to be okay. When Yarmer Yager played in Florida, what was he, 100 then? With his veteran experience, he didn't have to practice with the team. Yarmer, a single man, would go to the rink at 2 in the morning and practice by himself. Can't make many friends like that. When he later was picked up by Calgary with the Canadian Winters, that was the end of Yager in the NHL. He was about 50, wasn't he? MD in the house. Chris will put on... I don't know if I'm showing this. I want to read, Chris. Pink pajamas and high heels and speak for the group here. We loved your interviews and would fancy to see more here and there. I agree. I thank you. And I know Rick is all over me all the time too. It's hard because everything that goes into making them happen wasn't as enjoyable as I wanted it to be. Chasing people around. Man, if I could sit here and hire a producer to go chase guys around for me, and all I had to do was a little research and ask some questions, I'd be happy. You know what really beat me down was, the times that I did all this research and guys stiffed me. So kudos to the guys who showed up, and, my loss, I guess, for the guys who didn't. Who's out there that hasn't commented? Hello, Mark Vickers. How are you if you're still out there? I don't know who this guy from China is. I can't read your name. Jeremy, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Danny Fuller's angry about something. Tell me about the angry emoji, Danny. I'd love to know the reason. Don't scream kill or even kill facts and common sense. If it doesn't work, give them Jack's cell phone number. Kill him with it's common sense, right? The facts are simple. And if we're still talking about the bias, right? The NFL's not going to risk it. Again, it's risking its credibility by just allowing bad refereeing, but they're not going to turn a blind eye to people they know are potentially fixing games, and they're not going to have a bias to keep teams out or keep teams winning. It's ridiculous. And that's not new, but social media has given this thing a whole different life, right? What I don't do is I don't engage it. I knew you were thumbing. Oh, Chris is the baseball reference. This is true. Listen, the baseball and football references, I live by them, man. I love them. The Pats have been good on the road, undefeated, second time in their history they've gone 8-0 on the road. They played much better at home. Early in the year, they were struggling at home. They lost to the Raiders in Pittsburgh at home. First two of the first 3 games of the season. That was it feels like a different season ago to me. And I like this team. I like this team a lot. And I'll tell you this, too. Cam Newton should shut his face, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about when he talks about Drake May. If you want to be looked at as a credible member of the media, put your own bias away and put your own axe to grind away. The Patriots are a very good football team. Now, that said, they may not win a playoff game. I think this team's got a shot. Both the teams I root for in college and the pros, just a week ago, I put a bet in on on Miami. They were 2,200 plus 2,200 to win it all, and I put enough on them to win 4,400. You can do the math. And the Patriots, I also bet 100 on them, which will pay me 15. I think they were plus 1,600, maybe 1,650. So we'll see. Wouldn't it be nice to have both those bets? AC says they hide the numbers. They hid the Chauncey Billups stuff. Professional poker players were talking about that for years. The poker stuff's something different. That's got nothing to do with the games, though. Well, I suppose it could at some point. NBA hid the whole investigation and said there was nothing to see here. They're hiding because every game, either a referee or a coach or player is doing something. All right. Again, then I see no reason to watch the games even. Right? Again, that's the NBA, and I don't watch the NBA as a rule. I'm a Knicks fan. If it doesn't involve the Knicks, it's hard for me to get involved. I shouldn't say that. I do watch the NBA, but I'm not ingrained in it the way I'm in Major League Baseball or the NFL or NCAA football. I pay much closer attention when the Knicks are good like they are now. I'm not betting. Anybody bets NBA basketball is nuts. We've also got a documented case with Tim Donaghy, right? Great 30 for 30 there. Do I think it's prevalent, though? I do not, AC. I really don't. And if these leagues want to make sure that they're – and at some point, whatever they're hiding, they're going to have to show. Because if they don't, then it's just going to be the WWE, and who's going to watch? Get your carrot cake recipe out, because that's what I want to hear about on Sundays. If you start a baking show, will you please interview the tiny chef? I will. I have to know who that is, so. Don't worry, Paul Spada. Best recipe's ready. Are they all like from Oregon? Someone put the quarters in Chris F. Cream this morning, no doubt. Or you got some special blackout coffee. Oh, AC, you're killing me here. The league doesn't want it to happen, but they know it does happen. Well, they can stop it then. If you're telling me they know and they know who they are, then they're complicit because they don't do anything about it. They know it happens so often that they would have to change every record, put it. No, they don't have to change anything going backwards. Just fix it going forwards. That's all you have to do. And if you stopped it early, you wouldn't have to worry about past championships and past records. What is it with, is everybody talking to their phone? Because I get no punctuation these days. It's hard for me when I got no punctuation. Hard for me as it is. So they never be able to profit. Oh, so it comes back to profiting from gambling. Good. Again, I say what I say, and I don't think it's prevalent, but they open themselves up to this type of tinfoil hat nonsense by being in bed with gambling sites. Stop. If people actually found out how bad it was, the leagues obviously cover it up. We're going to pretend like show. I'm one of the few guys who thinks Ohtani is just a freaking stooge here. He's the stupidest man in history. I don't think he was betting at all. You know, I don't understand why more people don't adhere to the theory of Occam's razor. Everything's got to be an elaborate conspiracy. Everything that you don't agree with or everything that looks suspicious has got to be suspicious. And sometimes, and almost always, the simplest answer is the right one. See Occam's razor. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to keep talking about this because I said I wouldn't, and I'm not going to. Done talking about games being fixed and scripted. I'm done. If that's going to be their topics, then there's no reason for me to do this show anymore. None. Babe Ruth for Jack. Babe Ruth for Jack is a player. He came at the end of his career, 1934. My player would like to have seen him play injury-free. Bill Walton. That's a great one, actually. And Danny, we're old enough to have seen him play fairly healthy in college, and 1 year, really, 1.5 years, right? In the pros. Danny, I'll give you a great book. I think we may have talked about Walton in the past, and maybe this book. And if you haven't, it was written by David Halberstrom. It's called Breaks of the Game, and it's about the season that followed the Blazers championship season when Walton first started. The foot issues first started for Walton, and it talks a lot about before the championship year, and that year following, and Walton's eventual falling out with the Blazers over their medical treatment or lack thereof. It's a great book. If you haven't read it, it's a great read. David Halberson was a great writer on many things other than sports. He wrote a lot of sports books. He wrote books about political books. He wrote books about wars. Michael player we wish you could have seen more as a kid. Bill Freehand, good call. I never saw Freehand play a lot either. He was later in his career. Because I didn't think he was that great a player. But I saw him late. So Alex Del Vecchio and Maurice Richard is a good one. The Rocket. Eric Lindros came to camp for the Toronto Blue Jays in 91. I did not know that. It wasn't a publicity stunt. He was scouted as a good defensive third baseman with some thump in his bat. His Achilles heel is a current trend of today. He was a strikeout machine. I guess he'd fit today. Blue Jays had a couple of those third basemen then that baseball was not their best option. Danny Ainge also played. He played actually real regular season baseball too. Please pay attention to this farce and BS regarding Lane Kiffin and him wanting Ole Miss coaches to leave and go to LSU now during a playoffs. Even if it doesn't appear it's an unfair distraction to the team. What a poo show. Listen, here's the problem. I see both sides of this argument. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I want my guys doing my job. But if I'm Lane Kiffin, I probably would be okay if I left them there because Charlie Weiss Jr. gets to sit there and whisper into Lacey's ear and Chambliss's ear, if Chambliss gets another year of eligibility. It'll be fun at LSU next year, won't it? I can understand why Mississippi doesn't want these guys around. Any of them. Mississippi should have, and again, I know it would be unfair to the kids. I get it. But to be sure there's no improprieties, if Ole Miss was going to be consistent, they said they didn't want Lane Kiffin coaching the team because it'd be a walking billboard for LSU for a month or 5 or 6 weeks, whatever it would be. Any coach that's still there is, and now that the portal is open, is going to be a potential issue around the kids at Ole Miss and potentially luring them to LSU because they've got access to them that nobody else has. Not even the future Mississippi coaches. So there's plenty. Don't just blame Lane Kiffin, right? Blame you, Ole Miss, and blame the NCAA for not having foresight to see these things could happen with the schedule that the calendar that you continue to adhere to that makes no sense based on the calendar of when you play games. Luke won his second huge prize award, £1 million. What does that mean? I don't know what that makes. Less 45% England takes. Worse in Canada. What's £1 million work out to in dollars? I really don't know. Good morning, Jeremy. Good to have you with us. Jeremy just had a big milestone. Give us a little promotion for your show, Jeremy, and you can mention your milestone so I don't give the wrong number. I was trying to do the math in my head on myself, and I have no idea how many shows I've done. Jacks plus corrupt refs, better option than. Oh, God. I'm really not going to continue to talk about corrupt refs. Jacks plus corrupt refs, better option facing. Alicia said poking the bear. Thank you, Michael. When you do it with a wink. So I got to start reading comments backwards. I can't even read them forwards, but I'll read them backwards. That way I don't get myself ticked off. And AC's cool. AC and I debated another something on it. I don't remember what it was now on the MLB show Friday. I'm okay going back and forth. It's just, it's a topic that I think is driven by social media and because you don't see, again, massive cover-ups, right? Again, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist in any way. I'm pretty sure Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK. I'm pretty sure Sirhan shot Robert Kennedy. I'm pretty sure that what's-his-face shot MLK. I'm pretty sure I know everything that went on. I'm pretty sure the kid who shot Trump was the kid who shot Trump. They found dead on top of they shot dead on top of the storage building. I'm pretty sure I know. The simplest answer is almost always the right one. Not always, but almost always the right one. You guys can live by whatever conspiracy mode you want to live by. I won't. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to engage it a whole lot. I've engaged it more today than I normally would. Although AC's approaching it a little different way than other people who are just talking about individual teams. Again, what really ticks me off when I hear Patriots, the league wanted the Patriots to win. That's why they won all those Super Bowls. The league wants the Chiefs to win. The league doesn't want this team to win. The league, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm engaging AC more because we're talking about individual situations, and Danny said the same thing. And I do agree that there are situations where it happens. Again, I cannot believe it's the norm. There's too much money at stake. Anchovies are my fave. I don't respect pineapple. I don't either, by the way. I don't respect either one of those things. If you want easy, you can open a daycare together in Minnesota. We could do that, Rick. I think we missed the boat, though. Again, I'm behind the curve. Can't get out in front of the curve. I would not rather pay Houston. I got a young quarterback and a banged-up offensive line. I do not want to face that front seven of Houston. We got to play who we got to play. So I'm not really rooting one way or the other. I'm not going to sit here rooting for or against anybody. I just soon play Buffalo, quite frankly. At the end of the day, you got to play whoever they put up against you. Again, the eye test tells me I don't want to play Houston. I've seen what they've done to quarterbacks, and I know my offensive line is not going to be 100%. And again, I think my defense is good enough to keep Houston from scoring a bunch of points. It would be an ugly, ugly game probably. But I really don't want to see that. But if the Pats put up 30 versus Jacksonville, Jackson could still score more. I think the Patriots defense is not going to allow 40 points in a playoff game. Patriots defense has been pretty good all year. They bend, they don't break. And points, this is what matters. I don't care about any of the metrics on defense except points. That's all that matters to me. And if it comes down to the last minute drive, I don't trust the Patriots versus. Listen, I don't trust anybody's defense. It's a good point. I will tell you that. So if we're going to talk about certain circumstances, AC, if it comes down to the end, yeah, I'd rather face Stroud in the Texans offense in that 2-minute drill than I would Jacksonville. I don't disagree with that at all. My problem is if I play the Texans, I'm not sure I get there. Jeremy's ready for this football season to end. Mock draft and scouting profiles this season. Probably. I'm not a big – listen, I love the kid. I think he's a great kid. He's got a really quirky personality if you watch him interviewed and whatnot. And he's a good player. I don't think Mendoza, I don't think Dante Moore, I don't think any of this quarterback class is very weak. Very weak. Raiders are desperate, and probably, yes, Mendoza will be a Raider. Because teams are always going to reach. This is not a quarterback class I'd be reaching. And once it gets past Mendoza and Moore, none of these kids should probably be going until the third round. Doesn't mean they weren't great quarter. I watched Mendoza, and again, I'm not seeing a guy that looks like he's ready to play day one in the NFL. That doesn't mean he won't be okay. And I've been wrong. I'm not 100% right. I just know teams reach way too often. Do you need a quarterback to win in the NFL and win the Super Bowl? You do. There aren't many Trent Dilfers that win the Super Bowl. But there's a whole lot more first-round draft picks that don't ever win a Super Bowl than do. Again, 8% of the quarterbacks taken in the first round since 1967 have won a Super Bowl. That number says, unless you, again, I'm not saying if Peyton Manning comes around, you're obviously going to draft him high, right? And you're not finding a lot of Tom Brady's in the 6th round. I get all that. But more often than not, you're rolling the dice. You want someone to do all the legwork for interviews, Marty Cordova? I know. You were a big help, Chris. Don't get me wrong. But even those guys, I mean, it isn't like I didn't have to do some chasing around to get them to do it. So again, it's my own psyche. I'm not going to do any of this stuff if I don't enjoy it, right? I mean, the day I don't enjoy this and interacting with you guys and being wrong about a lot of stuff and being right about some other stuff is when I stop doing it. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. More likely, sports will cause me to stop doing this, right? We have a baseball strike. I said I'm going to not do baseball. But we'll see. Hello, James. I see James out there now. I don't know if he's got a comment. I got to get caught up here. Hate to say, but if the weather is good for the Bills, I think it's their year. Bills will be better on the road because of the weather. Listen, and I hate indoor stadiums. I'm glad that Buffalo's not building one with a roof. I think home field means something, and that means playing in weather. If you can't play in weather because you're a warm weather city, well, then you damn well better get yourself some home field advantage. I'm not going to say Buffalo's out of it. Buffalo's put up some stinkers this year, though. But when you get two talented players like like Josh Allen and James Cook, you're certainly in play. I just like my team. Yeah, the WWE doesn't make anywhere near the money that the pro football makes, AC. And by the way, they also admit that it's everything's scripted. They're not hiding. Again, you've got to come clean. If that's going to be the case and you want to watch scripted football, you'd actually watch that, because I wouldn't. If it came out this afternoon or tonight, whatever, that the NFL decided it was time to come clean and every single game is scripted, and we're not going to tell you what it is, which is fine. They don't tell you in the WWE how it's going to work out either. I got plenty of other stuff to watch that's more entertaining than a scripted football game, quite frankly. So I would never, ever, ever watch another game. But you got it. There's never going to be any credible evidence. And by the way, it's not being covered up. I'm going to get a flashing light behind me that says Occam's razor, Occam's razor, Occam's razor. I got a new on-air, by the way, speaking of signs. And I'm hoping it's big enough, because I'm going to put it right. I think it's going to go right over my head here. Like right, I can't, right there. A new on-air sign coming, because one thing I miss out, because I really like the freedom that I have without the backdrop, the green screen, backdrop, because it's a pain in the ass. I don't like the way I look in front of it. Get the lighting right. I like this open look better, but I like that. I want that on-air thing too. So, and I'll get the Occam's razor sign right next to it. Paul's recipes, all in cheese and beer. Those aren't bad recipes, by the way. Those are some of my favorites. Good morning, Michael, Donna, and Rick from Jeremy. Well, yeah. Again, bad calls. It's not what about. I'm not ignoring bad. And I know you're coming in late, Jeremy. Or I think you are. I'm not sitting here pretending there isn't bad refereeing. There's horrible refereeing. I'm telling you that they're not doing it because they want one team or another to win. Except in maybe isolated instances. If Otani doesn't bet, Jordan doesn't bet. So Jordan bet on basketball. So you subscribe to the conspiracy theory, which is what it is, that Jordan's retirement, his first retirement, was because the league actually suspended him. No evidence at all, none. And why would he do that, by the way? I know Jordan likes to bet. Jordan bets on the golf course. Jordan bets in the casinos. One thing doesn't mean he bets elsewhere. Can you get yourself in trouble where you have to? Yes, I don't think that's Michael Jordan. I don't. He's got more money than freaking God. Again, Occam's razor. Why would Otani be betting? Now, if you want to really concentrate on the real cover up in that whole Otani interpreter thing, it's the fact that the investigation showed the interpreter never bet on baseball. Well, then he's stupid, because he's a horrible gambler and whatever he was betting on, freaking cricket matches in England or whatever the hell he was betting on. When he's got all access to all this information around the clubhouse, didn't bet on baseball. That I might buy into, because that makes common sense. Nowhere in my Occam Razors world does it make sense that Otani's betting on baseball. And if they came clean and said he was, who's a bigger name in freaking baseball than Pete Rose? There's no reason for them to cover it up. None. Kick him out. Somebody will step up and take his place. You're better off keeping your game clean than protecting your stars. I'm sorry. You just are. Maybe I'm too Pollyannish. I don't know. Hakeem Olajuwon, well, it's close. He appeared on Pawn Stars and explained his goggles. Did he give him? Pawn Stars is one of my favorite shows. Actually, it's not. I've seen it about 4 times. But I like the one guy I like because he's just mean to everybody. In his era with more aggressive play on the court, he kept getting poked in the eye unintentionally from his massive weight difference. He was also smallish for an NBA center at that time. Billy Sims, that's a good one. Billy Sims was a great player. When did he get hurt? In the second year, Jeremy? Such a shame. Not of those games, though. Did read breaks of the game. It is a great book. I've read it a couple times. And if you haven't read David Halberstam, I mean, there's tons of other books you can read. That he is just a prolific. He was a great writer. AC's worked in high stakes casinos. I've seen how athletes gamble live and in real time. Again, I don't know that one thing leads to another. Do I think it's a great idea? No. I don't think. Well, I'll explain this. I mean, we're talking around in circles. I'm never going to subscribe to the theory that players are fixing games overall. We're seeing some of that, mostly in the NBA and in Major League Baseball. Problem is that the leagues continue to do business with the gambling sites. I don't think it's, again, proliferated the sports world. If it has, then all is lost, and I will care no more. You know, it's just easy way to fix coaching change problems. Can't be interviewed or fired until after college football playoffs. The problem is the calendar doesn't work. Then and you're right. That should happen, Jeremy. And it should be just like the NFL. But you have to change the calendar as well. You can't have early commits or first week in December. You can't have the portal open on January 2nd. You've got to push everything back. But that's probably not a bad idea. Again, that's the NFL model, basically. I mean, they do have a mechanism for assistant coaches to interview during the playoffs. 2,000 episodes on New Year's Eve. Congratulations. That's a great achievement. I can't even tell you how many I've done. So how many weeks are there in a year? 50. 2020. Yeah, that's going to work. 52, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 6 months. So that's 52 times 5. Well, that should have been easy. Plus another 26 times. I don't know if I got there. If I did 4 shows a week, I'd be at 2,200. But I haven't done 4 shows a week forever. I mean, the first year I was doing maybe 2. So you got me. That's a tremendous accomplishment, Jeremy. I wish I kept track of the shows now. If you count the ones I go and guest on, then it's way too many. I'm doing like 15 hours a week now. Too much. Retired. Good morning, Dave Guyette. What do we got? We got about 7 minutes left, guys. I got to pound through some of these. 1,364,40 and some change is 1 million pounds. Nice. Thank you. We love me and everyone. It's a love fest here. Thank you, CA. Who won the game last week? Who won the fantasy football? I didn't even look. Give me a winner. I want to congratulate them. Pineapple only works with ham, bacon, onion. Oh, no. Give me pizza with cheese and sausage, and I'm done. Mushrooms, time to time. I'm not blowing a gasket. It's just a subject that really pushes my buttons. Jack beat me to the punch this morning. Good to have you with us. So, James, go New Orleans. I see New Orleans winning. We said would put Tampa Bay in, right? Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in knowing everything, AC, because my wife says, I know I repeat myself a lot, and I apologize. I use Billy Packer's old motto of I'm often wrong, but never in doubt. Good morning, Matt. How are you? I just used one of your Topps cards to show, I don't know, who I have for baseball card maker. When I come visit, minus the anchovies. No anchovies. Jerry, last 4 weeks, Jacksonville's averaged 34.2 points a game, as well as a holding rushers under 100 yards, 6 straight games. They're coming. Listen, teams do. Momentum's a real thing. I know Jack Hurst doesn't believe in momentum. They have great momentum. Texans have great momentum. Patriots, I think, still have the momentum. I think losing to the Bills was a good thing for the Patriots. But I like the momentum Jacksonville's building up. Texas defense is scary. However, the offense is streaky. Pats have the advantage without a doubt. I just worry about that pass rush and my quarterback staying in one piece, because if Joshua Dobbs is playing, guess what? Patriots aren't doing? Advancing. Bo Bichette played with a team that went to Game 7 of the World Series. Toronto kept their nucleus and added to it. They did sign Yoka Mora, what's his name? Yoka Mora today, this week too. We'll talk more about that in the next baseball update. I hope the Yankees go after him. Again, I wouldn't just don't single out Bo Bichette as being money hungry, Chris. They all are. Again, it's all about money. Go follow the money. I'd rather play anyone other than Jacksonville and Seattle right now. Quirky and humble is more like it. He's very humble. I agree. He's quirky. Maybe that quirkiness might be the shyness I see in him. Quirky, humble. The rest of it remains to be seen. I like the kid a lot, Jeremy. Don't get me wrong. Next month, spring training starts. Yes, we'll be counting the days pretty soon. 14 quarterbacks were picked after the first round that won a Super Bowl. There you go. Again, that 8% of first-round picks is because so many get picked in the first round, obviously. And guys who win 6 or 7, like Tom Brady, obviously make that number look worse. No, it's not higher than 8%. I didn't say 8% of the Super Bowls. Remember, not 8% of the Super Bowls, Jeremy. 8% of the quarterbacks taken in the first round. There's hundreds of them since 1967 have won a Super Bowl. And again, I realize there's only so many Super Bowls, but that tells you how many busts there are. Again, look at 1983, the greatest quarterback class ever, theoretically. In the middle of that was Todd Blackledge, Tony Eason, Ken O'Brien, who was okay. I think I'm missing one. Who didn't do anything. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. The only guy who won these Super Bowls was John Elway. Jim Kelly never won a Super Bowl. So of that great quarterback class, one guy won a Super Bowl. little higher than 8% because there weren't 10 quarterbacks taken, 11 quarterbacks taken in the first round, but still, you get my point. NFL licenses sports entertainment. I get it, but well, that's the problem then. So if you're telling me the games are all entertainment and scripted, then I'm stopping. Why would I watch? Same as the WWE. Oh, please, don't twist my words. That's not even, come on. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like an hour-long drama that's scripted out by somebody who's acting it out and not, come on, you know what I'm talking about. None of those plays have a predetermined outcome. In a real script that I'm talking about, they would all have a predetermined outcome. And it would tell you when to fumble and when you throw an interception and when you do this. Stop. I might be going there too. If AC's right, if AC and Jeremy are right, then there's no reason for me to continue to watch football. So bring your recipes next week, guys. Daryl Boston, 63 years old today. He was a fine player for what he was. Jeremy, great stuff. Check it out. There you go. Jeremy does some good stuff. Make sure these guys have it. Jeremy, you send me anything you want, and I'll be sure to share it. There's so many guys. I want to help out, and I can't remember to go do it. Trey Lance, yeah. Let's do it today, Matt. I'm a big Charger fan today. Unfortunately, you're going to lose by like 30. Guys, I got to get through these comments. I've never not finished the comments. I don't know if I'm going to get them finished today. We got to blow through here. You really believe there weren't games where Jordan was like, I put up more than 25 or 30 points tonight and he bet somebody like Charles Barkley? I don't think that's the same thing. He's betting on himself to do well. Right, with another player. No, I'm not going to tell you that he didn't bet on himself that he would outscore Charles in a given game. I don't think that's what we're talking about either. We're talking about lowering performance, not raising it. Athletes care more about winning any kind of competition than they care about money, especially the best of the best. Agree 100%. That's my argument, right? Year 6 for Jeremy and his shows. Billy Sims broke both knees in the 85-86 season. That's a shame. Sims played 5 years and got hurt. You played that many years? Wow. Imagine he had good knees. Yes, John Gonzalez gets a shout out. Joe Willie Namath. Thank you, Matt. Matt let you off for the cards again. 52. I don't know. Is that your age? Oh, 52 weeks. I did ask how many weeks there were in a year. I do 8 to 10 shows a week since 2023. Too many for me, man. I can't do that many. About 15 hours a week. That's enough. I just bring this stuff up because I don't want to stop caring, but it's becoming too obvious if we speak out against it. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. Then I do not count the ones I guessed on. Yeah. I don't either. I'm not either. Meat Lovers Pizza, Ford for a win. I got to get out of here, guys. Rick Sherlock has been here since the beginning. Billy Pulver's been here since the beginning. Kenny was here from the beginning. Has kind of gone quiet on us. Hopefully he returns at some point. And we've had some great groups. Like John Gonzalez has been with us since the very beginning as well. NFL owners run the commissioners. Big difference compared to the NCAA, and the damn NCAA committee needs to get Nick Saban. And remember, those are two different things. The NCAA playoff is run by the conferences. The NCAA does not run the playoff. But I would like to see Nick Saban get involved in this whole thing. And the NCAA ought to be involved in their own playoff, right? Let's have some fun. That's good for you. Congratulations, Michael. Toot your horn. Sorry, my old phone broke. I got locked out of your fantasy football league. My team was out of it anyway. If I count my guest appearance, there you go. Right? I'm often in doubt, but rarely because I don't speak unless it's something I've experienced. Stop it. You sound like Paul saying your Patriots are losing to the Bills in a way. Oh, no, I'm not saying I want to lose. I'm not saying I'm happy they lost, especially the way they lost. A loss I'm okay with before we hit the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. I really don't want to hit the playoffs. Believe me, I don't want to sound like Paul. I do need to end the show now, don't I? I'm almost at the end of the comments. Stop it. Hide the team name. Hide the team name goes Engle on the road 6 or 3-10 at home. And their chances. What's her chances of winning at home? Say it again. Stop it. The team name goes ain't. I can't do that one. I don't know what it is. AC gets the New Year Hitch Award. AC's a front runner for 2026. I haven't even named a winner for 2025. It's like an improv show. Oh. Happy Sunday, guys. I agree. Thanks for the show. Thanks for talk and the good debate. Google the tiny. I gotta Google. Can my wife see it? Pineapple on pizza, microphone drop. Good afternoon, guys. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk. I'll see you in the morning with Jack on the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. Bye bye.